Dialing it in from the right side of the galaxy with a serious dose of truth, justice, and freedom to have fun.
All right.
This is The Ross Report.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday edition of The Ross Report. We're really kind of jazzed today. We have on the phone with us Senator John Kennedy calling in. We're going to do a town hall for the next about an hour or so, and he's got lots to share with us. So we're really excited about that. We want to tell you who helps to make it all possible, and that's Service Chevrolet Cadillac. They're right there, 1212, 1214 Ambassador Caffrey Parkway, just off I-10. They've got a fantastic deal for you. They have a great selection of Chevy cars and trucks, SUVs, Cadillacs, you name it. It's all there. Great deals, great people to work with. Yeah, really great. And great service after the sale. So check it out. And if you can't get over there today, it's servicegm.com or Cadillac@service.com. Senator John Kennedy, welcome to the Ross Report, Senator Kennedy. So happy to have
thank you, Carol. Thanks for having me.
Well, just excited to have you with us, sir. There's been so much going on up there in D.C., and we just wanted to give you a chance, and we're glad that you took the chance to come on and let the folks know, from your perspective, what's going on, what are our chances for, repealing Obamacare, and you have some more legislation that you've just proposed as well.
Let me give you an overview, Carol. I think most people realize this, but it bears pointing out. I can remember a time when the national media at least pretended to be objective. They don't even try to pretend anymore.
No, they surely don't.
There's a few exceptions to what I'm about to say, but for the most part, the national media has one objective alone, and that is to throw up every roadblock they can for President Trump and the Republicans in the United States Congress. And I regret that, but it is what it is. We have no cooperation whatsoever from the Democratic Party. When before we even started putting together a bill to get rid of Obamacare, the Democrats came to us and said, doesn't matter what you do. If you want to touch a hair on the head of Obamacare, we're not going to participate. So this business that we didn't allow them to participate is a bunch of nonsense. You would never know it from reading in the paper, but we've worked very hard and have had a lot of success rolling back rules and regulations. We passed 16 bills in the Congress, in the United States Senate, rolling back very expensive rules that were implemented by President Obama that have cost. I think we've saved the American business community $80 billion by rolling back those rules. We have a brand new Supreme Court justice who I think is going to be one of the best in history, and we'll probably have another vacancy coming up soon. Mm-hmm. We just passed a bill streamlining the Food and Drug Administration to try to get drugs that can help us on the market quicker. We failed on health care. We have 52 Republicans in the Senate. We needed 50 to pass the bill. Vice President Pence came over to break the tie. We knew we could lose 2 Republican senators, and I was pretty sure we weren't going to get the votes of Senator Collins or Senator Murkowski, but I thought we had 50 votes. As we all know, Senator McCain decided to vote no.
What was your reaction to that when that happened? Because so many people were shocked. I mean, absolutely shocked.
Well, look, it's his right. I mean, every senator votes like he or she thinks is best. Was I surprised? Yes. I thought that Senator McCain was going to be a yes vote. I did. But he has his reasons for voting no, and I'm not going to run the man down for voting what I believe was his conscience. I disagree with him. Mm-hmm. We are not quitting. We will be back. We will repeal Obamacare. We will replace it with something better. We won't have a choice. This time next year, Obamacare will not be standing. It can't.
One right after another.
It's failing.
Exactly. All those.
I mean, it can't stand. It's going to implode from within.
Let me ask
what
you
we're going to do next is move to tax cuts Some call it tax reform. I call it for what it is. It's tax cuts. It's the only thing that's going to get the American economy moving again and back to 3% growth. Our goal was to do it by November, and it's up to me. I want to make it retroactive by the first of the year.
Let me ask you this,
that's
Senator.
kind of where we are.
You're on the Budget Committee now. The House has passed a bill out of their Budget Committee. It hasn't gone to the floor yet, as far as I know. It's just come out of committee. Do you think you'll have a better chance at coming together, the House and the Senate, the conservatives and the moderates, and getting this done in a less contentious fashion than Obamacare?
You mean on the tax changes?
Yes.
Well, we're going to do it through a procedure called REC, which the Democrats are mad about, but they're just going to have to be mad. That means we only need 50 votes, with the Vice President Pence, breaking the tie.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go through the Finance Committee, who will put the bill together. That's chaired by Senator Orrin Hatch. All the details of it haven't been decided yet, but I will tell you what I want to see in it. I want to start with tax cuts for personal income taxes. I want to help everybody, but I really want to help the middle class the most. We need to give businesses relief. We have a 35% tax on C Corps. That needs to be reduced substantially. But I also want to reduce business taxes on LLCs, LLPs, sub-S corporations, sole proprietorships, family farms. We need to reduce tax on capital gains. We need to get rid of the estate tax. We need to get rid of the alternative minimum tax. Right now, the economy is growing at about 1.6%. That's an embarrassment. Normal economic growth for America should be about 3%. Mm-hmm. And the only thing to get it back to 2% is changing the tax code and letting people keep more of their money to reinvest.
All right. Well, before we
and
get
I'm optimistic.
Thank goodness.
I will never quit. I will never quit.
Good for you. Sounds like Winston Churchill to me, and I like that. We've got a couple of calls coming in, Senator. Caroline,
okay.
Go ahead. You're on with Senator Kennedy.
Hi, Senator. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I was wondering what the path going forward with health care reform is.
I need you to repeat that for me. I'm in my car, and I didn't quite hear it.
The path forward on health reform.
Well, here's what I think we need to do. I think, are you there?
Yeah,
Can you hear
well,
me?
I think she hung up, but that's all right. She's listening.
That's okay. Our bill, I like the bill that we were about to pass, or I thought we were going to pass. It wasn't perfect, but it would have kept coverage for pre-existing conditions. It wouldn't have touched Medicare. They started rumors that we were going to hurt people on Medicare for the elderly. Wouldn't have touched Medicare. Wouldn't have touched anybody who had health insurance and life through their employer. Would have repealed the mandate for individuals and for businesses. If you don't want to buy health insurance, this is America. You shouldn't have to. We would have continued subsidies for the people who need subsidies, but we would have phased those subsidies out for people that can afford to buy their own insurance. We would have reformed Medicaid. We wouldn't have thrown anybody off the Medicaid rolls.
Mm-hmm.
The lies that were told that, well, you're going to throw people off the Medicaid rolls. No. Under the bill we would have passed, Medicaid spending would have gone up every year, but it would have been tied to inflation. No longer would the American taxpayer just write checks that are unlimited to Democratic governors to just spend and waste.
All right. Now, which bill was that? That
was the bill that we would have ultimately ended up with had we gotten
Senator Kennedy, you're just cutting
together in conference, and it would have gone back to the House and back to the Senate.
Is that the Senate
voted on up or down?
Okay, that's the Senate GOP bill, not the skinny Not
That's
the
the Senate GOP bill.
Okay, right. That's the original one. And I'll tell you, the thing that we've gotten so many questions about is the subsidy to members of Congress and federal employees. Would it have done away with that as well? Because those are...
No, I don't know exactly where that's coming from. I buy my health insurance I'm on Obamacare. When I buy my health insurance, I buy it on the D.C. exchange. And that's the Obamacare exchange that's set up.
Yeah, but...
and I don't know...
You don't get that 72% subsidy that was passed through for the employees?
The Congress gets a subsidy, just like every other employer gives a subsidy by their employer. And if the president decides to stop the subsidy, I will not say a word. Now, as long as everybody else is getting the subsidy, I'm not going to say, well, I won't take mine.
Well, a lot of folks believe that they're not getting a subsidy at all, and they see that. Well, the truth of the matter is that we've got 291 million people in America out of 320 million who have health insurance. 60% of those have health insurance through their employer, and they do get a subsidy. Right, from the employer.
The rest of them, all the way up to 93%, either are on Medicare or Medicaid.
Yeah. And
theirs is, well, Medicaid's free. Medicare is substantially free. You pay for it your whole career.
Yeah.
So about 93%, no, I would say about 97% of Americans do get a subsidy.
Right, but here's what people, and this is what we've been reading, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but when the federal employees began complaining about the cost of their health care, and Obama put in that little plan for them to get a subsidy, from the government, and it was expanded to members of Congress and to the tune of about 72%. That is what we've been reading over and over again. So somebody's telling a lie out there if you're telling me you don't get the subsidy.
No, I didn't say I don't get a subsidy. I do get a match from the federal government, but I buy my insurance on Obamacare.
Okay.
Now, I have said repeatedly, Carol, if the president or Congress votes to eliminate the match, I'm fine. I'll pay 100%. It'll be a stretch, but I'll do it. Yeah. But I'm not. But 90% of Americans get a subsidy.
Yeah, from their employers. Yeah, got that.
Either from their employers or through Medicare or through Medicaid.
All right.
Every employer plan I'm aware of, the employer pays part of the insurance.
Right. Exactly. All right. We have another call coming in. Is this Elizabeth? Okay, Elizabeth, go ahead. You're on the Ross Report. Hey.
Yes.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I was just curious what the senator is doing to fight back against the opioid crisis that's happening pretty much all across our state and I think everywhere else in the country.
Well, it's a great question. The health care bill that we had proposed, which would have cut Obamacare, would have cut probably about $400 billion worth of Obamacare taxes. But it also would have provided to the states, not the federal government spending the money, but we would have returned about $45 billion to the states to fight the opioid crisis. We do have a crisis. We now have more people dying from overdose of opioids than I think just about any other, I think from automobile accidents. I want to say that's accurate. I was reading an article this weekend. We need more treatment centers, but frankly, what we need to do is talk frankly to the people of America and try to make them understand that you can't drug your problems away. Just don't pick up the drugs. Don't do them. I don't know what else to say. I mean, this stuff, the OxyContin, the fentanyl, it's all terribly addictive. I know times are tough out there, but taking this stuff, which you're going to get hooked on, is not going to make things better.
Senator,
now if you are addicted, let us know who you are, and we'll try to help you get treatment. But please don't start in the first place. And
Senator, many people have made the point that with the Medicaid expansion and the ease of ability to get some of these drugs, it's really exacerbated the crisis.
My my problem with the expansion, Carol, is number one. What President Obama did was he went to all the states and said, "You expand Medicaid, and we'll pay virtually all of it, and there's no incentive for you to save money.
Yeah.
Just spend like you want to. No incentive to save money." Now, right now, as you and I are talking, I'll tell you, I've driven all over Washington, D.C., and I can't find the money tree. It doesn't exist. I'll tell you where this money comes from. We borrow it. The United States government borrows $1 million a minute.
Oh,
Not a day, not an hour, a minute. Since we've been talking, we probably borrowed, $5-10 million. We borrow $1.4 billion a day to run the federal government. That's how much more money we're spending than we're taking in. So we can't afford to go to every governor and say, here's as much federal money as you would like. Go spend it and don't worry about saving any of it because there's more where that came from. It's got to stop.
Yeah.
And throughout the entire health care debate, everybody kept saying, well, why don't you add this and why don't you add that and add this and you're cold and cruel if you don't do that. My question was always, where do you think we're going to get the money?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where do you think we're going to get the money? We can't, unless you want to pay 40% more in income taxes, we do not have the money to give everybody in America a free education and free health care and a free home and free food. We just don't.
Senator,
now, I know that would get people votes to be able to say that, but we don't have the money.
Promises. Senator, aside from being a consistent conservative as you've been, do you think your background as treasurer helps you to frame those questions that way? Because you see that there's a finite, especially at the state level, there's a finite ability to provide those kinds of things.
Well, this much I do know. Yeah, my experience as state treasurer, but also my experience as just a husband and a father. I know this much. In my household, Carol, if every month I just charge more and more to the credit card and I just keep rolling it over and keep spending,
yep.
I could do that for a few months, but at some point I'm going to go into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And the state's no different, and the federal government's no different.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a break, Senator. We'll be right back and talking about a little bit about the future, about the budget, and about the spending, and about what's coming up in the next few months in Congress. We'll be right back with Senator John Kennedy. Stay with us, folks, and we'll have a line for you, 232-1542 on the Ross Report. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Ross Report. We're very proud and pleased to have with us Senator John Kennedy on the line with us for sort of a radio town hall. He's been very generous with his time. And Emily, you're up next. Emily, you're on the air on the Ross Report with Senator Kennedy. Go ahead.
Hi, Senator.
Hey,
Hi, Senator. I heard on the radio the other day about your bill to pursue child predators. Can you tell me a bit about what it does?
I have right now. If the law enforcement officials think someone has child pornography that they are trafficking on their computer or they're sharing with other people, which of course is a felony, as it should be, and law enforcement wants to get a warrant to go seize that material, and the warrant is issued. And law enforcement contacts one of the online internet providers and says, "Here's the warrant. We want access to this person's computer." Once again, a judge has signed off on it. There's probable cause. Then what usually happens is the internet company will contact the alleged predator, and many times the alleged predator will escape, and before he or she does, they will destroy all the evidence on their computer. My bill would say simply that once a judge says, okay, here's your warrant, and the law enforcement official contacts the internet company, that they have to wait a specific time before they tell the predator so that the cops have a chance to catch him.
You mean to tell me that they were telling these people that the law enforcement was looking for them, and so they'd immediately go dark? And
yes, they would.
That's
many
amazing.
of the companies, not all, but many of the companies will tell the alleged predator that, okay, the Justice Department or the DA just served us with a warrant, and the predator knows immediately what's happening, so they destroy the evidence and
disappear.
and run.
Right. Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully
and
this
makes
will have.
it twice as hard to catch them.
Hopefully this will help. That would have been my last question today because I have the background on that, and it's just amazing to me. But I've seen enough Law and Order episodes to know some of these companies, these ISP providers, they're pretty touchy
we're
about
not invading
information.
anybody's
Yeah,
privacy.
that's what I was going to say. That's what they consider invasion.
You got to go get a warrant.
Yeah.
You got to have probable cause, just as the Constitution requires. So.
Yeah.
And I think we can get this bill passed.
I agree. I think they're just a little touchy about it. Thanks, Senator. That's a great bill, I think. Paul, go ahead. You're on the Ross Report with Senator Kennedy. Go ahead.
Senator Kennedy,
yes, Paul.
I respect you very, very much. You were the most transparent Secretary of the Treasury this state ever had. And
well, thank you.
You made a comment about John McCain that I have to disagree with very much.
Okay.
You said Senator McCain voted what he thought was right. That is not the job of a senator. A senator is supposed to represent, his vote is supposed to represent the constituents of his state. What you described is a Bill Cassidy that has his own mind and his own obligations. A senator should represent what the constituents of his state want, not what he thinks.
Pretty strong.
Well, you make a valid point. I guess my position with respect to Senator McCain is, first, I have great respect for him. I thought he was going to vote yes. He didn't. He's got a vote just like I have a vote. I'm not here to defend him. I mean, I couldn't. Senator McCain knows why he voted like he voted, and that's his right. But I'm not going to say. I can say to Senator McCain, as he could say to me, "Look, I have great respect for you. I disagree with your vote. I wish you'd voted yes, and I do. But I'm not going to call him a bad person because he voted like he did. He can defend it himself.
I'm not asking you to call him a bad person, but don't you think a senator should vote what his constituents want, not what they want?
I do. That's how I try to vote.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much. All right, we got another call coming in. Thank you. Paul always makes a great point. Mike, go ahead. You're on the Ross Report with Senator Kennedy. Go ahead.
Yes, Senator. Pleasure to speak with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Same here.
Okay, I have a question on the impending implosion of Obamacare, like everybody says it's going to do. All right, so when it goes away, what happens to the law?
Well, it'll still be on the books unless we repeal it.
So the thing is that if I need to go buy insurance without any subsidies and all that, I got to pay for maternity, mental health care, all the other things that I don't need, right?
Unless we repeal it, that's correct.
Well, if it implodes, what good is it to the people that are stuck with those high bills?
If it implodes,
yeah,
and it will, I think you're going to see the Democrats come to the table, and they're going to be forced to work with us to put something in its place, because none of the people right now who are able to buy insurance on an exchange will be able to. And let me tell you right now, when we talk about Obamacare, take the Medicaid expansion off the table. We're talking about roughly 4% of the American people. Now, on those 4%, if you add in the Medicaid expansion, that makes it 7%. We're spending about $130 billion a year to help 7% of the population. They're a very important 7%, don't misunderstand me. But in order to help those 7%, we're screwing the other 93%.
Yep.
What's the more?
And I want to come up with a way to try to help everybody.
Right.
Not punish 93% to help 7%.
Well, that's where we're out here waiting to see.
And we got 49 votes We were one short. Had we gotten that extra vote, it took place at 2:30 in the morning. Vice President Pence was there with us. He was going to break the tie. I thought we had it. If I wasn't a grown man, I would have cried.
Yeah, well, but like the gentleman before, McCain did what he did.
Yeah.
But we're not giving up.
He didn't vote for the American people.
Get it done.
Yeah. John, Senator, I think the one thing that really upset people is the way he did it. I mean, that he was glad-handing with the Democrats and prancing around, and then he did that dramatic thumbs down like he was in the Roman gladiator ring. You know, it just rankled so many people. Yeah, he has every right to vote his conscience, or better yet, as Paul says, to represent his constituents. But the way he went about doing it just rankled so many people. We got to move on. Mary, go ahead. You're on the Ross Report with Senator Kennedy. Welcome.
Hi, Carol. Thank you. I listen to your show often. You are so talented.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. Your question?
Senator Kennedy, thank you for taking my call. I can attest that one thing you said today was the truth, and that is that you have failed to repeal Obamacare. That is the singular most important event on your calendar. And I feel like the senators are trying to prop up the insurance companies and that they are not working for the benefit of the middle class. I think Obamacare has redistributed the wealth of the middle class by out-of-control premiums. I call your office often, and I want you to know that Acadiana is listening and watching. And this should be the singular most important thing you do. So what are you going to do to ensure that Obamacare is not only repealed, but that you're not propping up the insurance companies?
Well, all I know to do, that's a very fair question. All I know to do is not quit. And we're not going to quit. I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
I told people when I was running, and my position never has changed and never will change. First chance I get, I'm going to repeal Obamacare. And if what is put in front of me to vote on is an improvement over Obamacare, even if it's not perfect, I'm going to vote for it. Now, we had what I thought was that objective done. We needed 50 votes. We got 49. We're not going to quit. We'll be back. We're not going to turn to it next. I can tell you the next thing we're going to do is we got to do a budget. We're going to do the budget. And then we're going to move into the two go together. We're going to move into tax cuts. The American economy is growing about 1.6%. That's not sufficient. The average growth long term is about 3.1%. We need to get back to 3%. When will we go back to Obamacare? I don't know. But we will return to it. We won't have a choice because Obamacare is going to explode.
Absolutely. Well, we don't have a choice. We have to take a break. Senator Daniel, you're holding on. I know you are, and there are some calls coming in. Senator, if you can hang on through another break, at least through one more, and we've got a lot more to talk about. And you can hear the real the true dismay in the voices of the people that Obamacare.
Look, I share it.
I know you do, and you've been consistent all the way through, and I appreciate that. We'll be right back on the Ross Report. 232-1542. If you want to get in on the conversation, stay with us. All right, welcome back to the Ross Report. We're so pleased to have Senator John Kennedy with us on the Ross Report this afternoon. We have Daniel holding on. Daniel, go ahead. Yes. You're on the Ross Report with Senator Kennedy.
Yeah, I had a successful business here in Lafayette area for 15 years, and my personal health insurance went from $350 a month to $1,350 a month. Yep. So I went out of business. My employees had health insurance, and I didn't. I'm not in business anymore. My question to you is, Obama hired thousands of IRS agents to implement Obamacare. Why didn't day one Trump fire each one of those agents? That would have been a start. Day one, he could have done that. What's your reaction to that, please? I'll hang up.
I don't know. I don't know why President Trump didn't. I will tell you that the President Trump has given orders to every one of his cabinet secretaries to start the process to roll back all the stupid rules and regulations. He's not going to get rid of the ones that are needed, but the stupid ones he's going to get rid of, and those that
define stupid
take a year to a year and a half to get rid of, he's told his cabinet secretaries not to enforce them. And I think you've already seen the impact in the economy. On top of that, the Senate, we passed 16 bills which overruled some of President Obama's worst regulations. I think the fiscal impact is about something like $80 billion to the American economy. So I'm pretty proud of that.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Daniel. Sorry for your troubles. Oh my goodness. I'll tell you, I have a question real quick. It kind of upsets me that the Republicans, not you, John, but so many of them seem so willing to to put restraints on a president from their own party. You know, staying in recess so he can't make any recess appointments or any changes in anything substantive, and the bill to limit his ability to weaken any sanctions. You know, it has people out here scratching their heads. You know, you never see that on the other side. They circle the wagons no matter what, no matter how bad their president is. They circle the wagons and defend him. But we can't even get a majority in our party to do that with President Trump. He's not perfect. We know that. But, I mean, I'd like to see a little more loyalty. What do you think?
That's the problem with the president's appointments is not the recess appointment process. The problem is that the Democratic Party, the Senate, the Democrats in the Senate have thrown up every single procedural obstacle that they can to try to slow the process down. Now, I'm not saying they've done anything illegal. They've been following the rules. But when President Obama was elected, the Republicans waived many of those rules so President Obama, who had been elected by a majority of the people, could put his people into place. Now, the shoe's now on the other foot. President Trump won the election fair and square. Some people may like it. Some people may not like it. But he won fair and square. He's entitled to put his people in place. And the Democrats have used every single procedural trick to slow him down. That's the problem.
Can they do that? At
the rate we're going, the president will get all of his appointees confirmed by us in about 11 years.
No, it's terrible. It really is terrible.
It's been a little better in the last couple of weeks. But that's the problem with the appointment process.
Okay, in that recess, was that led by the Democrats and just?
Well, the problem with the recess appointment is they're not permanent.
Yeah, understood.
What the president is entitled to have is his appointments in place, permanent until he decides to change them, and that's what we're working towards. Now, I will give the Democrats a tiny bit of credit. The last 2 weeks, they've been better. But that's the problem, marginally better.
Define better, John.
But that Senator. Is a lot. That has been a lot of the problem.
Yeah, it has been.
And I can tell you my experience has been, I can't speak for the House, but the Senate, most of the Republican senators, if not all, are very supportive of President Trump. We lost some votes on the health care bill. We've got 52 Republican senators. We could only afford to lose 2 votes. We lost 3.
What would you have thought of Senator Rand Paul's proposal to just go ahead and do a clean repeal, and then for the next 2 years work toward filling in the blanks as to how to handle each
I would have supported that. What Rand had proposed, in fact, we voted on it, was to repeal it, but prospective 2 years from now. You've got to have something in its place.
Right. And that's what his point was.
So he would have repealed it and said the repeal would take place in 2 years, and that would have given us 2 years' time to work on it. That was one of the options. I voted for all the options put in front of me.
Yeah, I know you did.
I voted for.
Bless your heart. I know you did. Ola, go ahead. You're on the Ross Report with Senator Kennedy.
Yes. Hello, Senator Kennedy. It's nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
I have a question about flood insurance. Okay. I live south of Erath, and we got flooded after Rita, and we finally got to lift. We lifted our house in 2013. We were, you know how that goes. We weren't supposed to have to put any money in. Then we had to, and you know all that. Well, that was 5 years later. Okay, well, that was all fine and dandy, but then We lifted my house 7 feet, okay? So what happened is they rezoned it. So now my insurance went up $4,000 since then.
Wow. But
since 13. And if I flood, Senator Kennedy, this whole area of Louisiana is going to, I mean, we're high up. There's no way we can flood anymore. But because they rezoned us into a V zone, to me, they should go house to house, see the different situations. There's no way that they should keep going up on insurance when this house is up in the air.
Yeah, Senator, you made some revisions to the National Flood Insurance Program that are going to kick in, in September?
We're trying to.
Yeah.
We're trying to. First of all, if you will call my office in Washington,
okay.
I will assign one of my caseworkers to your situation and let us talk to FEMA, which runs the program, and see if there's something we can do to help you. That's number one.
You are awesome. Oh, I wish. I know
yes, he
you
is.
can.
I'm happy to do it. That's what I'm there for.
Thank you so much. Oh, appreciate it. Thanks, Carol.
All right. Good luck, Ola.
Okay.
Good luck, sweetie.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Clifford.
The flood insurance program does expire September 30th.
Yeah.
I have a bill to renew it that would cap increases at 10% a year. That would save about $400 million a year that we would use to try to lower premiums and also to pour into mitigation.
That'd be great.
Don't know if I'm going to get it passed. I've gotten a lot. I went and recruited some Democrats to support it as well as Republicans.
I know you have a good bipartisan list of folks, about 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, maybe more than that. But that was the last I had seen. That's great. I hope you're successful.
I'm hoping we can pass it.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that really materially affects people's lives. Clifford, go ahead. You're on the Ross Report with Senator Kennedy.
Yes, thank you for taking my call, Senator Kennedy. Very nice to speak to you.
Same here.
One of the things that's been sort of confusing me is through the last few months of President Trump's election campaign, there was a big throwback to lock her up, going back to Senator Clinton. Has that gone away? I mean, because I hate to be a stick in the mud, but I mean, that's something that that people have been wanting. And it just doesn't seem like it's catching any ground. I mean, you hear every day, special prosecutor this, special counsel, that for Russian collusion, this and that, and this and the other. Where does all of the investigations into the Clintons? I mean, to me, they're one of the most crooked political families I've ever witnessed.
I don't know that there's not an investigation. I don't know that there is, and here's why. That kind of investigation is initiated by the FBI and the Department of Justice. When they initiate an investigation, they obviously don't call a press conference. They just go do it.
I understand that.
So they could be doing that. But let me say something. Go ahead.
I would really hate to see... it's the trail of bodies, that she's got behind her. It's the Clinton Foundation. Oh my God! All of the dirt on the Clinton Foundation. How could they not be prosecuted? How could they not be found guilty? I don't understand it. Do they have that many political favors that they are owed? Do they have that much on people?
Not with this administration.
I understand that, but I mean, people. I hear the
Clifford.
State, that and the other.
Clifford, that was part of the frustration of President Trump, that the Justice Department was not going after Clinton and all of the dirty deals that were done. And finally, they are now investigating the meeting on the tarmac. Between Bill Clinton.
Finally. That. But
to be fair, now I'm not saying the president doesn't know, but to be fair. None of us know what the Justice Department is investigating or the FBI, because under the law,
we shouldn't really.
They don't normally tell you.
That's right.
Yeah, I understand that.
But something.
It's just we haven't heard anything about it in so long.
Well,
I've got friends who are wondering if it's going away,
Clifford, you're expressing the frustration of a lot of people having seen what has happened on the other side with Jim Comey, the former FBI director, and some of the boneheaded things he did.
Absolutely.
And that really has undermined. And I think, Senator Kennedy, that's what a lot of these calls are about. It's simply been a systematic undermining of the trust of the American people in all institutions of government. It's going right down the line. It's very frustrating.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so very much.
You should see it from the inside. It's even worse.
You heard that, Clifford? It's even worse from the inside. Got to be frustrating.
I can imagine.
All right, Clifford, thanks. Dennis, go ahead. You're on the Ross Report with Senator Kennedy.
Well, good afternoon, Senator Kennedy, and thank you for getting me on the line there, Carol.
Sure.
My question to Senator Kennedy, I've addressed it to him on Facebook and a couple of places already. It's a rather drawn out oration, I guess, getting into it, but in the original U.S. Constitution...
Okay, wait a minute, Dennis, can you shorten it a little bit and get to the question? Because we got a lot of other callers coming in, and we're limited on time.
Where in the U.S. Constitution does it say that the United States is supposed to provide health care for its people?
It doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't.
The same thing applies to welfare, but that's been around for quite some time and it's kind of become a benefit. The benefit of health care only happened in 7 years under President Obama.
Not really. Dennis, go back to 1965, Medicare. That's when the government started messing.
Medicare was a self-participating program. You put in when your check was cut. But via FICA.
Did they? It's not self-participating. You're required to participate in Medicare.
You're required to participate. So it was it was something you put into. So it wasn't a benefit. It was a dividend, or it was payback for what you put in.
Understood.
Just like Social Security was, until such time as Congress afforded itself the availability to get at the Social Security fund.
Is there a particular question that Senator Kennedy can help you with today? Because those are really big.
Yeah, well, it deals with health care, which is what I started with, and then you and I went off on the little tangent there. The health care, again, where in the Constitution does it say it's required? But going beyond that, why not address it at its root cause?
They couldn't even get a reform. They couldn't even get baby steps, Dennis. Come on. You know the answer to that. They couldn't even get baby steps to dial it back on what is in there now. So I'm going to defend the senator on that. There's not much one United States senator.
The root cause is the expense for doctors, hospitals.
Dennis, do you want to listen to the senator? Yeah.
Yeah. Americans spend about $1 trillion a year, state and local, to help people. We're the most generous people in the world. If you're hungry, we feed you in this country. If you're homeless, we house you. If you're too poor to be sick, we don't let you die. The problem is that all those programs, those programs to help those less fortunate than us, were supposed to be bridges. And they've become parking lots. And they've become a way of life for some people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's what's got to be changed. The goal of every one of these social programs ought to be a job.
Absolutely.
Help you get back on your feet so you don't need a handout.
Yep.
And that's what's going on.
To be
okay, Dennis, we have to move on. We've got to move on. We have time for one more call, and the senator has been so generous with us. James, go ahead. You're on the Ross Report with Senator Kennedy.
Yes, hello. Hi, Senator. Can you hear me? I
can hear you well, yes.
We can hear you now.
You didn't answer Ms. Ross's question. If you could give a detailed, specific answer to her question, why did the Republicans block President Trump's ability to have recess appointments? And I know you want him to have regular appointments.
I don't know.
You didn't answer as to
why. When I found out about this? I found out about this 2 days ago when a constituent called and asked me about it, and I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Well, it's troubling. It's very troubling.
I mean, I'm assuming Senator McConnell knows and the leadership knows, but I don't know the answer.
That's going to be the final question. James, thanks for the call, James. And my final question is, and I asked Senator Cassidy this, and I'm going to ask you this: if there would be, if there were a viable Republican alternative to Mitch McConnell, would you vote for that viable alternative?
If it was viable, but I will tell you, I don't think Mitch McConnell is the problem. It's not Mitch McConnell's fault that the health care bill didn't pass. I don't think Mitch McConnell is going to be dethroned as head of the Senate majority. I have a lot of respect for Mitch McConnell. Now, if he were responsible for this, Carol, you've known me a long time.
Yeah,
I would come on over here and say that he was. But he wasn't responsible for this. We lost 3 votes. We have 52 senators who are Republicans in the U.S. Senate. We can lose 2 of them and still pass the bill under reconciliation if the president or vice president breaks the tie.
Well,
we lost 3.
I can go along with you. He's a wily parliamentarian. I just wish he were a little bit stronger on the leadership part. I know there are problems.
I don't think it's fair to blame McConnell. I mean, I was there. And if he were to blame, I would tell you. But
I know you would.
McConnell didn't cause us to lose. What caused us to lose is we had 3 senators who didn't vote yes. They voted no.
Well, Senator, you can hear. Did Russia come up one time? Did North Korea come up one time? No. You know what people are concerned about? Tax reform, health care.
Well, they're concerned about health care, but they're also concerned about jobs.
Oh, yes.
And they're concerned about economic growth.
Absolutely.
And they're concerned about their take-home pay. And so am I.
I appreciate you so much, Senator. Thanks so much for coming on. People, you know, I just want everyone to understand how generous the senator has been with his time. He's got a lot of constituents to meet with. John, we just appreciate you so much, Senator. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol.
Take
Always
care.
a pleasure.
Have a great one. Okay, bye.